Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So by the title of this video, you guys know it's kind of going to be a little bit more lighter, upbeat than the usual kind of darkness, I guess my videos will have. So I thought I'd talk about my favorite childhood memories. Um, I think that this is like kind of exciting to look back on and just kind of see how, I don't know, things have changed so much. Not that just because, oh, you're an adult now, but like childhood compared to what I went through to now is just so different. So I thought I'd share some fun and exciting memories. Um, so this one is actually, I want to just say, my one of my ultimate favorite memories I have. It's something that was stuck with me for a very long time. So I would say 5 or 6, and I was visiting my aunt and uncle, um, and because they don't live in the same um, province as us, basically. So I went there with my family. And my aunt was always like an early riser, so she would always, get up early before everybody else, and she has this like had um in this room we can just sit. It has some of her plants. She loved to read there. She had a piano and harp later on in years. But when I was a kid, I remember just getting up. I couldn't sleep. I remember this so like it was yesterday. It's so weird. And I remember getting up and just going out into the hallway, and I remember going around the corner and seeing my aunt just reading, just rocking back in her chair, just reading. And like without even looking up from her book, she's like couldn't sleep. And I said quietly, "No." And then she looked up and she smiled at me. She's like, "Do you want to read a book?" And I was like so excited. And so she put down the book that she was reading, and I, you know, rushed over to her, and she picked me up and put me on her lap. And she pulled out one of the books she was reading to us, me and my brother. I would say the Magic Treehouse book was the books that she started me and my brother on, even though like I wasn't like a super good reader back then because I was young. I was really young. She would read the books to me while my brother would read them. So I just remember like her rocking us, and I just like put my head down, and like she's reading, and like I so vividly remember listening to her heartbeat. If I close my eyes now, I could hear it, and it was just so quiet and peaceful. The house was dead silent, and it was just her and I reading a story, and that is just one of my all-time favorite memories I have as a child growing up. Um, Another memory would mostly be, I touched in this video, I touched on this subject in the video that I did yesterday of just me and my brother's childhood. We did some like interesting stuff because we were literally on the cusp when like Google and computers were coming to like be like kind of big, semi big, not really super big, but they were just coming out. But like we didn't have any of that. We didn't have like phones, tablets, any of that growing up as kids. We had like our imaginations. So we would spend hours outside in the backyard and just exploring and creating these stories. And our backyard's not too big, but it was a fair size. And we just like created these like worlds, and it was just so much fun having like that experience with my brother. Like looking back on it now, it's like, were we ever that young and that carefree? And we didn't have, not that we didn't have responsibilities back then, but it's just that we didn't have the craziness and the hardship that comes with getting older. So that's like another one of my favorite memories. Another one, this is kind of interesting. It kind of has to relate to school. And this was actually the memory that I look back on. And I know for a fact I have this. And that is, in grade 3, we were told to write a story. Create a story about a leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day. And of course, this was like to go towards communication skills and writing skills and all that stuff. And we were only supposed to do like, honestly, like it was basically shaped like a leprechaun, and there was like 3 to 12 lines. My teacher at the time was like, oh, just create a story and see how far it goes. I remember this so vividly. I started and I couldn't stop writing. So I filled up 9 of those leprechauns, and then I went into full on line pieces of paper, and I wrote, I think by the end of the count was like 30 pages. And this was back in grade 3, so I was young. I was still in single digits, so I would have been like 8 or 9-ish, maybe? Something like that. But yeah, and ever since then, I've been writing, like, nonstop. Just creating worlds and stories and characters, and it's very exciting. Another one of my favorite childhood memories is, and to this day, it is still one of my favorite smells. So I remember, because my uncle owns like a tree farm, and I remember like me and my brother used to go there just exploring all the time, and we used to find all these things and find stuff that my cousins created, and we would like just go. And one of the days we were out there, we would spend hours. Like, we did not give a shit. Like, we would get muddy, and it was must have drove my parents mad. That we would just get down and dirty, like in the mud, just building things, and like it was quite an experience. And I remember one day it just started to rain, and I love that smell. Trees and rain. I love that smell. It's so, I don't know, relaxing and peaceful. And I just remember, my brother was like, oh, we should hurry back to the house. And I was just taking my sweet little time, just like taking it all in. And it was just so quiet. And you could just hear the rain fall on the trees. And I was young. I was like, I wasn't like super young, but I was like probably like 10 or something. But yeah, it's just so peaceful there. And I still, to this day, love going there nonstop. Well, not nonstop, but like whenever I do get the chance to, it's just you explore. You always find new places. That is the thing. You always find new places there. There's so much to explore. But yeah, I mean, these memories have helped me so much, like through my healing and like life. I don't know, it's just good to go back and reflect and, experience those times through memories, and know that, even through all the darkness and all the bad days and the stressful days and the confusing days and, just plain, just getting out there into the world, and just knowing that you have these memories of a time when things weren't that crazy, when things were just quiet and still. It's so beautiful to look back and reflect on those memories and know that, you won't always, sad and carefree, and you were naive because you didn't know that the world was scary and confusing, and nowadays it's just, where do you begin to pick up the pieces of and creating life, and just it's just so different. And it's just these memories of, so before my aunt passed, me and her used to write letters back and forth all the time. That was like my thing to do. She'd do postcards because she traveled for work and pleasure. And, she would tell us about what her and our uncle were up to. And it was a good place just to feel safe. And so when we knew we knew when she wasn't, it wasn't looking good. We didn't know, but we knew. It was just like this weird kind of like unspoken thing. So what I did was I created kind of like a memory book of like from me and my brother, and just all these memories and stuff. And I remember going through all these pictures and creating this book. It was like a time capsule almost. And there was this one picture. I mean, all of it was beautiful and it stuck out, but this one picture, I mean, I was young. I was like, I think 1 or 2, so I don't really have a memory of this, but it was the picture of her, my aunt, and me, and she was pushing me in a swing. And like, I have no memory of this because I was like so little. But I don't know, for some reason, that memory stuck out for me. Like all of it stuck out. And like those certain stories that we told each other and stuff. And this picture just stuck out for me. And it was a time, I guess, when I was so little, and so much was like a journey ahead. Like so much was like ahead for me, if only I knew. And like, it was just a time where, carefree. And my aunt was always the type of person who, like, she would tell you when you messed up, but she would help you through it, and her hugs were the best. You can just get a big hug from her, and you would know you were safe and loved no matter what. And it was just the innocence of that picture, before everything of both where our lives went to. And it was an unspoken thing of like, oh, she'll always be there, She was there from the beginning, and now she's with us in a different way. And it's just, I don't know, something about that picture stuck out. And it was really, really good to see, it brought peace, which is a weird thing. I knew from the get-go, like, she wasn't perfect. She made mistakes. We all make mistakes. And that is something, like, I could relate to with her, like, and we had an open communication with this, and, that, yeah, like, I looked up to her and stuff, but I looked up to her because I wasn't blind to the fact that, yeah, she made mistakes when she was younger. She was still making mistakes, and she owned up to them. She explained, her way of, like, thinking back then, and what she learned from that, and that is why I looked up to her. And to have so many childhood memories with her, even the ones, like, I don't remember, I have pictures. And that was just one of the best parts of my childhood, was having my aunt, in those memories. Yes, there was things me and my brother did not see that were going on behind the scenes or what in front of us. And excuse me. And again, that is okay. That's all a part of learning and growing and reflecting. But there's so many things you can look back through childhood to now. And you could be like, well, what if I did this or what if I did that? But for me, looking back on these memories, some of them that I shared with you, some of them, I will share down the road. And there's just so many experiences and lessons and things that you grow from and learn from. And you might not take all the information that was given to you. You might take a little piece from here, a little piece from there. But I can look back and say, oh yeah, I remember that, and I learned this from that, and I took that from that, and I use it to this day. And I'm thankful that I had a good childhood. I know that there are some people out there that don't have a really good childhood, that go through some really tough, hard, and unspeakable things from day one. And I'm thankful I can look back and smile and, yeah, sometimes cry about those memories, because, there's people that are from back then that aren't with me to this day. And, it does make me sad sometimes, but I'm also very thankful, because I do know that those people out there that have experienced none of those things, and it breaks my heart. And I know, and sometimes I feel selfish, where it's like expressing or reminiscing about, like, my good childhood. Of course, it wasn't all good. Those fights with the siblings, fight with the parents, normal things. But, I'm just that type of person. I'm a very, again, I'm very open, and I'm, again, not to toot my own horn, but this is just like to explain, like, how, because I know how some people be like, well, you shouldn't feel bad for explaining this, but, like, I have a big caring heart, and I know that not all people have experienced that. And, it kind of does make me feel bad about sharing, my good, happy memories, knowing that some people didn't have that, I should say. But, it's things that I've learned from those experiences that I carry with me today. Sometimes, I can be a little bit thick-headed and not put those experiences or lessons that I've learned through. But, sometimes you do have to learn the hard way. So I kind of went off there on a little tangent, but to bring it back to what I was saying before, I created this channel to, express, all of it, the good, the bad, the in-between, the uncertainty. And that's what I did with the Never Give Up community that I did on Facebook. And yeah, do I feel like a little bit, selfish sometimes expressing like the good and stuff? But, you have to, well, you don't have to, but what I feel like is like, you have to, I have to, like, not saying you guys have to, but I have to express all of that, the good, the bad, all of it, because again, everybody goes through their different experiences. So if you can take a little bit, like a grain of salt, through, some lessons that I've learned. Again, I'm young, so, I still have a lot to process through and to go through and experience. but yeah, I'm like, if I can, just allow somebody to take a little piece of something, and, put it forward, or just think about it, or just, have it in the back of their mind. Like, I'm glad that I could do that. Or if somebody can relate to something, or, feel like, oh, well, I really wanted to talk about this, and have that open line of communication. I am really glad and grateful that I had that ability. When I got on here, I was so iffy about coming back on here. And especially in this time of like uncertainty with the pandemic and job loss and health, and the world is topsy-turvy. I just felt like coming on here, I was playing tug of war with myself of like, oh, should I come back here on YouTube? Should I come back here on YouTube? Shouldn't I? There we go. And in the end, as you guys can tell, I am on here. And I just want to say thank you for having that, allowing me to have that opportunity. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm so glad that I could reach out to people and, let them know that they're not alone, even though they do feel alone. And I might not know your experience or what you went through, but I'm willing to learn and listen and just create this safe environment and, put forth instead of just saying it, And that's what I've been working on for the past 5 years with the community of Never Give Up. And I'm just very thankful that I can come on here and share my experiences, the good, the bad, all of it. And to share some silly childhood memories. I'm very thankful that I can come on here. Anyways, guys, I'm rambling. Remember, never give up, always keep fighting, you're enough, and you're very much loved. And until the next video, sending my love. Love you guys.